Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back to do some work on my Roxy Journal of Stitchery treasure hunt piece. So if you've seen a couple of my videos recently, I have decided that I'm going to use for my base piece this blanket that came from the basement at Alex's parents' house, and it's a blanket that travelled with Alex's mum all the way from Budapest after the war, all the way to Australia with her, and they were actually planning to throw the blanket out on their hard rubbish collection, but I saved it. It's got a beautiful monogram that Betty had stitched into it, so that's going to be one of the monograms in the piece. And I've then covered the blanket in the section, the half section that I'm going to be using as the canvas for my treasure hunt piece, which is going to hang over the back of the settee that's visible upstairs here near my craft room. So I'm only going to have be covering and decorating half of it, and the other half will hang over the sort of the front of the couch. And so I've covered it with this vintage tablecloth which has beautiful lacework and still allows the blanket to shine through, but just softens down and mutes the colours. But I love how the orange and the green in the blanket are just coming through really as golds and very sort of very rich and regal greens, and then some little sections of cream. So I think it's going to work fabulously, and then there's going to be lots of embellishments and stitchery added on top of it. But I just love that it's multi-layered, and I love that it's already got a bit of Alex's family history in it. And then we're going to today be adding some of my family history in it, and some very dear and treasured memories of family members as well. So the piece I'm doing today is going to actually combine a few of the prompts. I think it's going to combine favourite fabric, vintage embroidery, which is the prompt that we've got for this 2-week period. It's going to include love and heart. And I think it will also include a little bit of a lace or trim. I think I'll probably end up using a bit of lace type trim, and obviously it will be going on this lacework tablecloth as well. So the piece I'm going to be doing today is in memory of and in celebration of the life of my grandpa, who was Wilfred Clark. Sadly, he's not with us anymore, but he lives on most definitely in our memories. And Wilfred Clark was a carpenter, and he could basically make anything. But one of his sayings was measure twice and cut once. Now I know he didn't coin that saying, but I'll definitely remember him when I see that. And I've got some other fun elements to combine in with that as well, which I will show you now. So I'm planning to use this favourite fabric as my base, but it also happens to be a vintage embroidery base fabric. So you might be thinking, oh, vintage embroidery, surely that has to be something that's already stitched. But no, you can use something that's a patterned, or I think they sometimes call it a trammed mat, one that already has the design marked on it. This is a really lovely linen. It's a really nice coarse linen. And it's got all these numbers on it, which I just think makes it so lovely. I've used a little section of it from up here. I don't know if you can see. A little section I've cut out up here that I used in the Stitchery swap square I made for Heidi. But each of the numbers corresponds to a different colour of thread. So for example, number 3 is chestnut. Number 5 is wood brown. Number 7 is gold, etc. But I just love the fabric itself, and the numbers are, I think, quite relevant to have for the measure twice, cut once. Other elements I'm planning to include, let me just bring them down and show them to you. I've got this beautiful little tape measure. And my grandpa actually has one which I still have, which is untouched and won't be chopped up. This is from a very rusted out one that I managed to find on Marketplace on Facebook quite a while ago. And so I use this one and incorporate these into my Stitchery pieces, so I can just sort of cut off sections. This was actually from the very first bit of the tape measure, and I just love that it is all hand sort of stitched. Obviously it sort of tore away at some point, and so it's all been stitched together and mended, and that's certainly something that Grandpa would have done because he and Nana were very, very frugal in their ways. They both, they lived through much poorer times and depressions, etc. When you didn't waste anything. So I'll be using that little section. I also went through Grandpa's key collection. I'm just having a look where I put my key collection. Where did I sit it down? I sat it down somewhere. I was moving a few things off the windowsill. And so, I've got a beautiful collection of keys from Grandpa, and this one's got a lovely little heart on it. So I thought I will incorporate that in. The saying, as I've said, I'll add that one into it as well. Then I've got this little leaf that's been floating around my craft room, and it's in the shape of a heart. It's fully dried, but it's not brittle, which is good. And I'm thinking I will put that in a little organza bag that I've started stitching, so we can probably finish stitching that together. And so that will sit in the little bag and get sealed in there, and then I can stitch the bag onto my little design. Because this is going to be hanging over the back of the settee, I can have more textural elements on it, so that will be another part of it. I've then got some nice, this is a wooden button, which I thought goes well with the carpentry reference. Look at the beautiful little sort of dimples in the wood. It's just so lovely. I got that, I think, when we were in Mallacoota at the Mallacoota op shop. And then a beautiful mother of pearl button, but I'll probably use it on its wrong side because I like the nice little browns there. And then another lovely brown button. I think this one might have come from Lucello, Melbourne, with one of the packages I got from there. I then have another little one with nice browny burgundy, which I might use, although I usually work in threes, but I'll keep that one to the side. Got some lacy doily bits, so I'm thinking they can get included. Then I've got some lovely burgundy rickrack, because this piece will have a lot of burgundy in the overall treasure hunt piece, so I thought it might be nice to incorporate a little bit of that, but I think it's still got enough of a sort of a masculine feel to it. And I've got some lovely brown trim as well, which I thought could be nice to add in. And I've also got this one, which has the sort of reddy burgundy and the brown on it. I actually love both sides of it, both very sort of geometric, so I thought that could also get added into the mix. I do have some of my little hexagons. I don't know if they'll make it into the mix, but Grandpa was a keen gardener, so I don't even mind potentially including some little hexies as well. And also, because of the gardening reference, I can even include just some little bits of lace that have like little flowers on them. So this could be quite sweet, a very beautiful handmade lace. So some of that could definitely be included. I'll just click that back on there. I've got some little script, but I'm not sure I'll need that. I'll probably use a bit of this brown rickrack as well. I could even potentially have the two rickracks sort of running across each other. So I'll keep that in the mix. What else do I have here? I've got a variety of different brown threads, etc., that I can use. And I also had a sweet little feather that I had found, and this feather I swear, it keeps disappearing on me. It keeps fluttering around my desk, and I keep losing it. I'm sure I will spot it in a moment. I did find it not that long ago. It was here just before I started the filming, but we will. Oh, there it is. It was trying to sneak off my desk. So I found this beautiful feather in Bright, where we were on holidays recently, and I just when I see feathers, I always think it's a little communication from the other side. So I thought I might find a way to stitch that in, because it's got the lovely sort of the tones of the the fabric. It almost blends into the fabric when you lay it down. So I'll have to keep that so it doesn't escape. And then I've also got this beautiful vintage embroidered, which fits with the vintage embroidery theme. Probably the blues don't really fit with this piece, but there might be a way that I can even put possibly something like the rickrack over it, or just incorporate. I quite like this piece down here because it's like a W for Wilf or Wilfred, which was grandpa's name. So I'm thinking that can stay in the mix as well. So I'm planning to use probably the section of it. Let me pull it down a little bit to make sure you can see where it's got like number 277 upside down, and then it's got the section here. So I'm thinking I'll probably work in this area, given I've already cut into this piece here, and then I can save that other piece for another time. But let's first of all finish off this little bit of stitchery here. So I'm just using my version of backstitch, which I will show you. So I just pop up, I do a stitch, and then I'd actually take my needle down a further point forward, and then I bring, and it's catching a thread from the back, let's just get rid of that, and then I bring my needle back and go back into where I last was with the thread, and then I jump forward and do a stitch forward, and then I can do another stitch forward from up here because I know it won't undo my stitch. But yeah, I've got a video showing the various versions of backstitch. If you're curious about different versions, you might have thought there was only one, but there are actually a couple. There's two different ways to do it, but then there's a different actual stitch. That's like a forward and backstitch all in one. So I'll just finish off the E here. Try not to get a knot. So I'm just using for this thread, which has now decided to create a knot. Come on, thread. Just using 2 strands of just a regular sewing cotton, one of the vintage cottons I got from Alex's mum, except it's just wanted to create a little loop. Let's see if we can fix that up. There we go. So yeah, just a nice thin cotton for that. Which I think just gives a nice subtle writing effect. Come back from here, make the loop of the E, and then we can just give it a quick iron to take away where I'd written on with my friction marker, written out the letters. Always find it easier to stitch when I've got the letters drawn out for me. Otherwise, I'm sure I'd go quite wonky. So there we go. So I'll just tie that off at the back. So I thought, yeah, the browns, I'd keep this one less burgundy, but maybe just with those few little burgundy accents. But the piece is definitely going to have browns and golds and neutral colours in it. There we go. And so yeah, the thread I'm using is just like a sewing thread, but it has got a nice glistening colour to it. So let me just quickly pop this out of the hoop. This is the hoop I got on holidays for $1 from the op shop. It's very handy for little stitcheries. I've got my iron going over here, so I'll just go and give it a quick iron. Warming up again. I'll be back with you in the merest of moments. Okay, I think that's taken all of the friction marker off. And I also found on my ironing board, I was just ironing this Suffolk puff because I thought that could be kind of cute as well. So we'll now tear this down. It's already got a nice torn edge along there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 below. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do about, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll cut it about here. A little tear. Tears beautifully. This was from an old vintage cushion. I think it's still got some stitching in it. Again, a favourite fabric. It's a beautiful, slight almost gold, but like a really nice neutral gold. So then I'll cut here. I want to get the nice frayed edges. I guess I should be doing it precisely if I'm following Grandpa's mantra. I must admit, when I'm doing slow stitch, it often isn't that precise. But let's just sort of line it up so it's pretty central. We'll make a few more nice frayed bits. And there we go. I wonder if I want to take, maybe I'll take a little bit more off this each side, I think. So I don't keep all those nice little side pieces. They will definitely be useful for other projects. I like to keep all my little scraps. I just put them initially just in a little basket ahead in front of me. It's a lovely Sunday afternoon here. Weather's not quite sure what it's doing. Sun's shining, but there's sort of, yeah, some cloud encroaching in. I think I can even go in a little bit closer. I think I'll just take a little bit more off here. Just don't want to go too far, but I think I can definitely do that. Then maybe, do we think we can take any more off the bottom, or is that maybe just a tiny bit? Hopefully it will still tear. Sometimes it's harder to tear when you've only got a little bit. And then I'll just trim off a few of these more sticky outy threads. Okay, I reckon that's pretty good. So measure twice, cut once, perfect. And so let's start to arrange our design. So I'm thinking, yeah, we'll come down here and probably have it in this sort of broad area. Let me just pull that down a bit so it's better in shot. So I like the little, yeah, the Suffolk puff. Again, I think that one might have come from Lucello Melbourne in a little in my birthday package. We should probably actually finish the bag together. I've just noticed I've still got that threaded. So before we arrange, we'll just finish off stitching this bag. So I'm just using an organza ribbon for this, just like this one here. And I thought I'd make my own little gathered organza bag. So I've just stitched up this side, and I've been using just this other brown thread, a slightly darker one than this one. Again, just a regular cotton. So I stitched that side, tied off at that point, and then just kept stitching across, which will give me, when I pull it in, it will give me the gathered bag effect, but I won't gather it just yet. I'll just put one more stitch in over here, and then we can gather it if it doesn't get tangled. And then we can put the leaf in. I don't want to gather that side. I only want to gather across the top. And I don't want to go too gathered. That should be pretty good, I think. Let me just pull that bit out there and just get the top to gather. just enough, and then we need to pop our little leaf in. Pop him up this way, I think. I just think this piece is going to be so lovely to be able to put lots of little memories sort of stitched into it. Keeps wanting, I thought by putting a knot in on this side then it wouldn't want to gather, but it's still trying to sort of pull through and gather. Let me just get the bag top bit sorted maybe first of all. Okay, I think I need to hold that steady and then just make that like that, yes. Put our little heart in. So yeah, I hope you're having a lovely day, whatever you're doing. And so now I'll just do a little running stitch down this side to enclose it, and then if I need to I can do a further gathering. It's fallen out, so maybe we'll do a few more stitches before I put the leaf in. Otherwise we might have every degree of difficulty. So I'm just going to pass through both bits of the fabric, well not the fabric, the ribbon, to catch both sides. Just with a little running stitch. Don't want to stitch it so far that I can't fit the leaf in, so I'll just hold it up this way so it doesn't fall out. So it's so lovely seeing what everyone is creating, so many different ideas. It's the great thing about these projects, everyone has a different take. And we all have different treasures. Just straighten that out a bit more. I think that's going to work. It's all experimental. I figured I may as well turn the camera on. I haven't been doing as many of my actual stitching videos. I've been kind of showing finished products for the Stitchery swap squares, and a few folks have said, oh, we'd love to see your sort of process, your just stitch along sort of videos. I've been doing my my dictionary or treasury of stitches daily videos as well, but I'm usually doing a fair bit of explaining of the steps as I do them in that. And they're a bit shorter, whereas this will be just a longer run one where I just leave the camera going as I work on this piece. Okay, and then we can sort of just position the leaf in the bag where we want it. And I just love that with something like this, yeah, it'll only be when you kind of look closely at the piece that you see the special details. I'll finish that off there, I think. And as I say, we can always do a further sort of gathering stitch on it, just or to position it exactly where we want it when we attach it down to the piece. Let's put a little anchoring knot in the second knot in the end, and then we can just trim that off. That will be very, very sweet, I think, to add in. So let's get our piece organised. Now, before I cut the fabric that I'm going to be using, I'll just work out what size I want it to be. So I want to have those numbers. I'll just pull it down a smidge again. I want to have these numbers showing up there. I want my little bit of tape. We know, I'll actually just, because I know that I'm going to cut down here, so I'll just cut that bit off for now. And then I'll be fraying the edges down part of the way, like that. Which I can do later, but just getting the sort of the width of it. I do quite like it with this little bit of doily underneath there. We know we want the key somewhere. And we were thinking this ribbon as well. So let me, isn't it interesting? Look at all the intricate stitching on the back. So we could either just take the W, or we could take part of. It's nice because it's almost got this mustardy gold colour, which I quite like. But if it comes all the way down from there, then maybe we do just take the W. So will I cut maybe there? I'll start with that and we shall see how that looks. Got to be brave, gotta cut. Can't just look at our things. Okay, so I think that's enough fraying there. So I will, and this will get secured down when I stitch it down. And then I might just neaten up this end. I'll just do that over into my bin. And so I wonder if I should put that, if I can have the W somewhere here. It's all, as I say, it's almost like a monogram, just looking for the little references in it. Got this beautiful wooden button, which I could even maybe attach into and have as the center of that Suffolk puff or yo-yo. Quite like, I think I just like the buckle being there, unless I wanted to put a little button in there. Could be cute. And then maybe I have my cluster. I was going to have that one up that way, wasn't I? So maybe that could be my little cluster of buttons. Something like that. But not covering up the, or would I? Choices. I could have this button either underneath, no, or could I have it sitting above? No, I think I prefer it down here. So I think I'll leave that, and I think I might just leave it with the buckle just to enjoy that piece. And then I think my key would be kind of nice down here. And then I wonder, do I stitch my little bag? I have my little heart piece stitched down there maybe. And then if I wanted anything else, I could put some, although I've also got the trims, haven't I? So let's just for a moment. I've also got this Hessian trim as well, but I don't like that. That's not as vintage. So I think I'll stick with the vintage. Is this one going to be too much, or do we want just a little smidgen of it? Just a little bit of interest. I don't want to obliterate all of the beautiful numbering pieces either. So that's a thought. In fact, I might even want to move this down a little bit. I'll have it just so that we can see some of the number coming through. And then I was thinking, would I want to have, but then it kind of cuts off the W, so probably not like that. But I could run something over there, or I could have something running underneath here. Then you kind of don't see most of it unless I put something. Could have something that runs along the top there. That could be quite nice. I might just cut a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure we need that one. What about this larger brown? Could have a little bit of that over this side. And we're going to have the key, aren't we, coming down? So that could be quite nice. And then I've also got this trim, which has a bit more, it's a little bit more red. But I could always use a burgundy yarn just to put those little cross stitches over when I stitch it down if I wanted it to be in the right colour scheme. It's quite nice. It's got the little sort of cross elements, so just take a section of that, I think, maybe from there. So it is nice to include your little treasures in these stitcheries. So even something like that could just sit down there. And was there, so I haven't included my hexes. I don't think I need the hexes, and I've got those included elsewhere, so I'll put those to the side. And then I don't think I'll need the laces. I'm happy enough just with this little piece of crochet doily sort of edging piece. And I don't think I'll need my piece of writing, but I was wanting to add my feather. And where will I put that? Will I put that just extending down across this area with the key? How would that look? Okay, I'll just move it all over so it's a bit more where you can see it in the very centre, although we are losing that bit there. And so yeah, I think I'll probably cut it. Where will I cut it? At least it's got the line, so it's got the sort of guide. If I cut it along there, I still want to be able to see the numbers around it. So I think I might cut across here. Let's just make sure I'm not cutting anything underneath. Up this side, I think. Okay, so now we've got our area. Cut that bit there. I can save these little bits over here. I can then fray the edges a little bit. Get those nice raw edges that we love. Well, I love them. I know some people like to have all their edges very neat, but I think for me, with a rustic fabric like this, it really adds the charm, adds texture. Okay, I'll finish. See, this feather just keeps wanting to blend in and disappear away. It keeps trying to escape. Maybe the feather wanted to roam free and bright, but instead I brought it home because it was just too beautiful. Okay, let's just fray a few more edges whilst I can. Sometimes I don't want to pull out as easily as they otherwise would. I'm still going to get a few of these bits out. It's a lovely coarse linen, really nice thready bits. Okay, so I think we have a plan. How was I going to have that coming across there, wasn't I? With the key coming down and something like that. Got that one there. Yeah, I think that's going to be a sweet little piece to add. So I guess we need to start stitching things down. So what to do first? That will be the question. And what do we want to stitch with? I'm just going to take the thread out of that needle, and I'll have a look what we've got. We've got some nice goldy colour, which could be good. Or I've got my lovely various, all different colours, crochet yarns. This is just a tiny selection of them, which could be nice for some more decorative stitching, but I think I'll probably just start by doing some invisible stitching to get the design stitching down. So I think probably the first piece I need to actually stitch might be actually this one here. So do I just want to, might just want to move that over a smidge. So we now need to remember what we're doing. I could take a photo at this point, but I think I can remember. And so we'll start by getting this one stitched down. So maybe if we're doing invisible stitching, I might just use this lighter colour here. Just tie a knot in the end of it. So we got back yesterday from lovely Bright in Alpine, Victoria, where we had a lovely holiday, almost 2 weeks there, which was delightful. So for invisible stitching, I'm just going to get it sort of tacked in place, which will mean that I don't have to have pins, which I prefer not working with pins. But then I can do further decorative stitching where I want to. It's a lovely fabric to stitch through this beautiful coarse linen, and I do like having the little guide dots. It lets me stay semi-straight, which will be rare for me. Couple of stitches in the center as well, just to hold it over here and down the other side, and then we can add the next piece. So this is just the stage where we get things on and start to layer them in place, and then we can come back and do fun decorative stitching, which might be in another video, I suspect. So this invisible stitching is great because it just, it's got longer stitches on the back, but nice short stitches on the front that you can't even see. But as I said, it avoids the need to have your lots of pins in your piece, which often makes stitching not so much fun. So it just gets everything held in place. Okay. So then we were going to have this coming up, something like that. That one was going to just sort of fit in like that ish. Oh yeah, the big button was going to go in the middle, and then let's just check how we were going to have that. I actually think, yeah, I can have this sat up a bit more maybe. Let's just recheck. So the buttons we can definitely come back and do later. Now, what else was I forgetting down here? So we are going to have our little bag coming down over here, and that will get stitched down. We're going to have our key. Oh yeah, I think originally I didn't have this sitting up as high because I wanted to be able to see some of the numbers. So yeah, we'll go back to original plan on that. So yeah, probably next thing to stitch down. I'm pretty happy that I know that I want to have this going across there and then this one like that. So we'll just get our next little stitches in to hold this one in place. So we'll just bring a stitch as we make our way up and over to where we need to be stitching next. Come over to here. I do like to kind of adjust my thinking as I go with a piece, so it'll be interesting to look back at the end and go, did I actually position things exactly where I had them in that first layout? Let me just check the alignment I need for probably have it just a little bit more. Yeah, I think have it coming up to about there. So I might even, got a little safety pin, I might use that rather than even a pin. I'll just pin this here to keep it where I want it. I saw there's little magnetic pins you could get. I thought they might be good for me, given my hatred of getting stabbed by pins when I'm working. So now we'll tack this bit in place. Again, I'm just catching little bits of the doily. Hope the sun's not creating too much of a shadow or too much brightness, but it's rather nice having the sun coming through the window. I think we're about to have our weather warm up quite a bit. I think we're getting to sort of 20 plus degrees most days this week, and even up to 26 at some point. So lovely spring weather. Thinking of our friends in other parts of the world where there's been, yeah, horrible floods and then hurricanes. One of my stitchy friends, Martha, just having to work out timing for when she heads off on her holiday because of the threat of extreme weather. So stay safe, folks. I'm going to have to work out how I attach the vintage measuring tape, because I think it's quite fragile, but I'm sure we'll work something out. Okay, I can take my safety pin out now. Okay, come back and we'll put our Suffolk puff in. Which way do I want that? Do I want a little bit of burgundy showing down there? Perhaps. And I won't sew it all the way around because I think I'll probably end up putting this sort of the corner of it coming through that. Let's work my way back down here with the thread. Oops. So let's just recheck our spacing. I should have actually had this just angled a little bit further down, but that's okay. Well, I think that's all right. As long as I can see those numbers there, and I think that will work. That will work. Okay, which means I'll position the Suffolk puff about there. So we'll just get a couple of stitches in around the edges. But as I say, we can come back and do all our decorative stitching. This is really just performing the role of holding everything in place. And the good thing about this sort of tacking stitch is if you really did need to reposition something, it's very easy. You can just cut the couple of stitches out and move things around. So that's probably enough to hold our little thing down. And then maybe now's the time to position this one into place. So about there, I think. Unless we want to have it moved a tiny bit over. You can still see those numbers coming across there. Probably do need to just trim these little thready bits that are threatening to come off the. Don't want to take too many off, but that's good. So we know we want our little organza bag to come down here. Yeah, I think that will work well. I think we'll have our little button collection over here. It can just sort of cascade down. And then we were going to have that plus our key plus our little bit of trim, which has, and our feather as well, not to forget our feather. Something like that. And I'm just looking for where our little bit of trim has gone. It has disappeared. Might have to cut another bit, or or maybe we don't need it. Maybe it didn't want to be on the piece. I've got the little corner bit I cut off, but that's not the piece I had. Does this happen to you where you just go, where has that little piece gone? I don't know. Don't think it's stuck to the bottom. Oops, there goes the thing. Okay, so I think the main thing is to work out that I'm happy that where this is positioned, which I think I am. My only question would be whether I want it to sit under or over. I think I'm happy over, because as long as I've got the W, which I do, I think I want the saying to sort of have prominence. So I think we can stitch that down in line with that. So again, just going to do my little catching stitches. I picked up at the op shop in Bright a little yo-yo making kit from Clover, and it had a whole lot of brand new chenille needles. Oh no, sorry, crewel needles in it. which was fabulous. It was all wrapped up in the little package. So it's a bonus bargain for $2. And I have to admit, and I'll probably do a little separate video on it, it makes making the little Suffolk puffs or yo-yos so much easier. I've always just done them by hand, but it was a bit of a revelation. And they're beautiful little tiny ones. So I'll definitely be adding lots of them into this piece as well, I think. Just get the top stitch down, which will be enough to hold it. Oops, pull through. Unthreaded our needle, but that is okay. Now, shall we tackle getting the tape measure stitched on? So, yeah, I'm a bit worried about how whether I need to. One option is I do have this ribbon, but it's going to obscure it a bit, and the brown would be too brown over it, I think. But that was just one option to be able to stitch and hold it down. I could use a very fine tulle, although I don't think I have any in the sort of offy white colour. I used that would be, no, not transparent enough. Otherwise, I mean, I'll be fine here because it's got material here. And maybe I will just need to do a few little stitches in the end of it. Let's see if I can. I think I'll be able to actually. Probably just do some little over stitches just to hold it there. Just do 3. It is quite fragile because it's obviously very, very old. It has a smell that I just can't, it's like the smell of a workshop that I just can't quite sort of discern what the smell of it is, but yeah, it's definitely come from being a well-used, well-loved ruler, or not ruler, measuring tape that someone treasured. Probably need those just a smidge lower. Might just take that last stitch out and just angle it a little bit further down. Because I just want to have it sitting below those numbers there. I need to take that stitch out too. Happy to be using this little piece because I've had it hanging on my little lamp here, waiting for a time that I can put it into one of my bits of stitchery, because I've used the measuring tape in other people's little stitchery swap squares. But it's nice to have it now in mine. And I do hope that sun's not creating too much grief for you watching the video, because it's really beating in the window now, but it is lovely. Nice to have sun on you as you stitch. Okay. So then I think I'll just jump across in the fabric, but not actually stitching the ruler there. And then we'll put some stitches in the fabric over here. I just love seeing visible mending where generations have mended stuff. It makes it all the more precious. Alex saw the measuring tape of the rusted measuring tape that I'd got off Facebook Marketplace, and he's like, "You can't cut that up, it's a treasure." And I said, well, it's not going to do anyone any good just sort of sitting there as a rusted out one, whereas at least it will get new life in my my Stitchery pieces. So I might just put a stitch in either end for now, but we might end up using a different thread there, so I might take these stitches out eventually. So I might use a more sort of crochet colour over there. So I'll finish this one off here, which will make it easier if I want to then take those stitches out later. As you can see, we've been working our way around the back of the piece. So that will be lovely. Now, what goes on next? We know we want to get our little heart bag, so I might get that stitched down next, and I might use the brown that I was using for that one. This one here. It's going to be so much fun to start stitching these pieces down to the back. I just felt like I needed to kind of get a few more done, and then we can definitely start stitching. But I'll get the monogram piece because I've done a beautiful heart border for the monogram. So that will be lovely to add that. So I think I'll just pop this one on about maybe a little bit over here. And I'll pop up through the bag because I can add some extra gathering stitches here. So I quite liked that idea of making a little organza bag out of some organza ribbon. You can obviously buy the commercially made bags, but with this you can get one exactly in the colour you want and whatever size you want, and it's hand stitched by you. Sorry, there is probably a bit of shadow coming. Let me just see if I can hold it a bit better. So there you go, there's the, oops, can you see that even? Can't quite tell with the sun blaring in. So I just do one or two more stitches there. But I won't stitch the bottom down yet, even if I might not even need to actually stitch the bottom down because this will be hanging down, so it will probably actually stay fine the way that it is. Go. Beautiful. Okay, and then we were going to have our feather, which we'll need a lighter thread for. We've got our brown, and we're going to have our key, and I have lost my bit of trim. And where was I going to have this? I can't even remember now. I think I was going to put that along there, wasn't I? Yeah, that will still work. I can still fit that under there, and I'll just need to tuck it under the Suffolk puff. So maybe I can just actually attach that in so I don't forget about that one. I want to have it just about there. Oops. Needle just wasn't quite wanting to go through it. I'll just do it in two movements. It's quite a tightly woven piece of trim. For a moment I forgot what this trim was called. Rick-rack. I was going like, what's it called? Do you have those moments where you're just like, what on earth? I still remember Melinda saying recently, thanks so much for saying the word trapunto. She'd been trying to remember for months, I think, or weeks, what trapunto was called. Happens to all of us, though. Absolutely does. Well, most of us, I think. Okay, I'll just maybe work my way along. I'll just get rid of this bit of fluff that's got caught in it. And I'll just put some little stitches in. I might actually have to do them as little, I think I'll be able to get my needle through. It's just, as I say, it's a very, very tightly woven rickrack. Quite hard to push the needle through from the back. Oops, what have I done there? I just, in pulling and prodding it around, I just moved it a little bit, but now it tucks back under fine. Okay. Do another stitch along here. Try and keep it straight given we've got the lines. So yeah, very happy we came back yesterday on a Saturday. It means that I've then got another day of weekend, whereas if you come home from a holiday on a Sunday, it's like you're rushing to get into the working week. But this has felt very relaxed. We got back sort of early afternoon yesterday, which was good. Got the wash on. Luckily we had a washing machine and dryer where we were staying, so that was very lucky. I was able to wash all my op shop finds. Now I've just got to put them away in the craft room. Sorry, I just banged the camera with my nose. Just put a little stitch in this end just to hold the Suffolk puff on top of the rickrack. There we go. So I can probably just pass my thread because we do need to anchor down the brown rickrack. So I'll just pick up some little stitches on the back and just bring it. Actually, no, I can probably tie it off here. That's probably a better idea than passing it all the way down the back when I don't need to. Okay, it's coming together, but I will probably need to stop soon because we're at the hour mark, and it always takes ages, forever to upload when you sort of get past that hour mark. So what I'll do is when I'm off camera, I will stitch down the other elements, and then we can come back and work out what sort of further decorative stitching we might want to do on it. So I'll do that in a second video, and we can finish it off together. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon with part 2 of this video. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.